Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here with us today because honestly, we're looking at a massive, fundamental paradigm shift in how we interact with technology. If you've been following the artificial intelligence space, and I know you have, you know that the last couple of years have been all about AI that answers our questions. But at Google I/O 2026, the narrative completely flipped. We are officially moving from an AI that simply talks to you to an AI that autonomously does your chores.
I want you to really think about this for a second. What actually happens when AI stops just answering your questions and literally starts doing your chores? Imagine an AI that isn't just a chatbot sitting there waiting for a prompt, but a silent partner working continuously in the background. It's navigating your calendar, booking your appointments, managing your budget, all while you focus on actually living your life. This isn't science fiction anymore, guys. This is exactly what Google just laid out for the immediate future.
And that brings us to the absolute core theme of the entire keynote. The Agentic Era. It's a complete transition from a passive assistant to a proactive agent. An agent that operates 24/7 on your behalf. We're moving from a web that requires you to do all the heavy lifting to a web that proactively works for you. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. Number 1, welcome to the Agentic Era. 2, the engine, Gemini 3.5. 3, software that does the work. 4, hardware for the AI age, and 5, tools for the builders.
All right, Section 1, welcome to the Agentic Era, from prompts to proactivity.
So here is the fundamental difference you really need to take away today. An AI assistant is passive. You ask it for a dinner recipe, it gives you text on a screen. Helpful? Sure, but limited. An AI agent, however, is proactive. It knows you have a dinner party on Friday, so it automatically finds the recipe, checks your fridge inventory via your smart home, buys the missing ingredients, and schedules the grocery delivery to arrive just before you get home from work. That multi-step autonomous workflow, that is the absolute hallmark of the Agentic Era.
Moving right along to Section 2, the engine, Gemini 3.5, powering the paradigm shift.
Let's talk about sheer unfathomable scale for a minute. 3.2 quadrillion. That is the number of tokens. Essentially, those fundamental fragments of words and data the AI processes to actually think that Google handles every single month right now. Just to give you some context on how insane that is, 2 years ago, they were processing 9.7 trillion. In just the last year alone, this number jumped 7 times. It shows an incredible, unprecedented global demand for AI compute.
Now, it's super easy to get lost in the software hype, right? But the hardware reality behind the scenes is staggering, $180 to $190 billion. That is Google's estimated capital expenditure for 2026. They are pouring astronomical amounts of money into their new 8th-generation tensor processing units, the TPU-8T for training and the 8i for lightning-fast inference, which is the actual brain power used when you ask the AI to do a task. They've essentially built the largest training cluster in the world, completely unconstrained by a single data center, just to power these new models.
Let's look at the actual models themselves and see how this new hierarchy breaks down. Gemini 3.5 Flash is the absolute star of the show here. It boasts a token speed 4 times faster than other frontier models at less than half the cost, making it the perfect blazing fast default engine for these background agentic tasks. Then you have Gemini 3.5 Pro, which is geared for deep reasoning and complex coding. And finally, they introduced Gemini Omni, a brand new world model capable of any-to-any generation, opening up some truly wild possibilities in multimodal video editing and media creation.
Which brings us to Section 3, software that does the work, Gemini Spark, and Auto Browse.
So how does this actually change your day-to-day life? Let's look at a highly relatable everyday scenario using the new Auto Browse feature. Say you're heading to a comedy show tonight, but totally forgot to figure out parking. Well, step 1, the agent scans your email to see your ticket and location. Step 2, it checks live parking availability near the venue. Step 3, it autonomously books and pays for the spot. You literally didn't open a single app or type a single search query. It just handled the whole shebang.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole suite of everyday agents they're rolling out. The headliner here is Gemini Spark. Think of Spark as your 24/7 personal cloud agent. It hooks right into over 30 third-party apps like Uber, OpenTable, and Zillow. But wait, you might be wondering, how do I stop this thing from accidentally emptying my bank account? Well, that's where the Agent Payments Protocol, or AP2, comes in. Google basically described it like giving a teenager their first debit card. You set strict spending limits and guardrails initially, and over time, as the agent proves its reliability, it gains more trust to handle your digital life. This continuous background support also extends to your workflow with things like Docs Live, where you can literally just brain dump your thoughts using your voice, and the AI structures it into a beautifully formatted document in real time.
All right, moving to Section 4, Hardware for the AI Age, built for co-presence and agents. So, Google is completely revamping its hardware ecosystem to interface with this new agentic web. First up, say goodbye to the Chromebook, say hello to the Googlebook. This is a premium AI-first laptop running Aluminium OS on the Android 17 stack to give you a true desktop-class feel. Next, we got a really cool look at the highly anticipated Android XR smart glasses. Interestingly, they're launching as an audio-first device. No screens in your face, keeping you completely focused on the real world. Plus, they partnered with brands like Warby Parker and Gentle Monster, so these actually look like stylish everyday glasses, not some bulky sci-fi headset. And for the enterprise space, they announced Google Beam, partnering up with HP to launch a life-sized 3D video communication platform that creates genuine co-presence, again, without headsets. To really grasp why Google Beam matters on a human level, just listen to how the CEO of the USO described it. He called it a godsend to have in the hands of our service members that are deployed. Because when you can see someone in life-size 3D, catching all those subtle nonverbal cues and making actual eye contact, it completely changes the dynamic of remote communication. It's moving from just connecting to actual co-presence. It has profound implications, obviously, for corporate meetings, but more importantly, for deployed military members and their families back home.
Finally, let's hit Section 5, Tools for the Builders, Constructing the Agentic Web.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is how developers are going to adapt to all of this with an entirely new toolkit. Anti-Gravity 2.0 is now this central platform where developers can actually orchestrate entire cohorts of autonomous sub-agents to execute incredibly complex workflows. Then there is WebMCP. Guys, this is huge. It's a proposed open standard that lets developers expose their website's backend directly to browser-based AI agents. So instead of an AI clumsily clicking around a travel site, it just talks directly to the site's APIs to book a flight instantly. And of course, as AI content continues to explode, Google is heavily pushing SynthID. It's an invisible watermarking tool that's now being adopted across the industry by major players like OpenAI and Kakao to help identify what is real and what's AI-generated.
And for you app developers out there is a massive financial incentive to pay attention to this hardware shift. Users who operate across multiple devices, phones, foldables, tablets, and these new Googlebooks, generate up to 9 times more revenue than phone-only users. 9 times! That is a massive multiplier that developers simply cannot afford to ignore anymore.
Because of that massive multi-device opportunity, Google is drawing a serious line in the sand with Android 17. They are officially removing the developer opt-out for screen resizability. So if you build an app targeting Android 17, it absolutely must adapt cleanly to large screens over 600 dp, meaning tablets and foldables. With over 580 million large-screen Android devices already out there in the wild, Google is practically forcing the ecosystem to become fully adapted by default. We've covered a staggering amount of ground today. From the 3.2 quadrillion tokens powering Gemini 3.5 Flash, to the stylish Android XR glasses, to the entirely new agentic web powered by WebMCP and anti-gravity. But as we officially enter this agentic era and technology essentially moves entirely into the background, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. When your everyday digital chores are finally fully automated, what are you going to do with all that newly recovered time? Seriously, think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.